Hello guys, how are you? Thanks for joining. Alrighty. If I could get a show of hands or just a comment in the question box that you can see my screen and that you can hear me okay. Let me make sure. I actually want to share this screen. I was sharing the wrong screen. Great, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. Okay, guys, so today what we're going to talk about the Totara 10 report builder. And there's also a couple of new reports. They're not just mind-blowing, earth-shattering new reports, but they're just nice to know that you have them out there and that they are available to you now in Totara 10. So one thing to also keep in mind, guys, we are in the process of looking at pushing to Totara 11 as well. So right now what I'm showing is Totara 10. Totara 11 has been released. One of the major differences between 10 and 11 is going to be that 11 is it is compliant with the new laws that are going into place in Europe. So that is something to keep in mind, something to be aware of. If you are needing that particular piece of compliance because you're international, then you would want to look at Totara 11. We are going to start showing some Totara 11 things this year, probably in the next quarter or so. So just so you're aware, that's kind of where we're at on that. For those of you who don't know me, I think I've actually worked with all of you. My name is Taylor Craig, and I am one of our platforms consultants here at Kineo. We've just recently hired on a new one, Alex Carrick, and he's fabulous. So if you have the opportunity to work with him, please welcome him to the party and get to know Alex. He's great. So talking today a little bit about the report builder. What's different with it? So you'll see here we've got a Totara 9 screen cap and a Totara 10 screen cap. It's basically just a cleaner interface. So right now in the versions that you guys are all familiar with, Totara 9 and previous, it's always just been reports, report builder, manage reports. And you go to that manage report screen and you can scroll literally for forever. So you can scroll and scroll and scroll, especially if you have a whole bunch of your own user reports that you have in there. It can get pretty intense and pretty cluttered. So keep that in mind, that that's going to be one of the major changes. Basically, it kind of got a facelift as far as how it's displayed. So now we've got our general settings, which we've always had, but now we have user reports, embedded reports, and then creator report. We have a direct link to that creator report screen. We didn't have that. We used to have to go into the manage reports and then scroll all the way to the bottom past our 11,000 reports, right? So now those are just split out and they look a lot better. And then the new reports that we have, our browse list of users is now a configurable report. So I just would like you to all join me in a collective yay finally. That has been long overdue. That used to be a old Moodle screen, and it is now a Totara configurable report. I got a yay in our box. Yes, exactly. So now you can change the columns that you see on that screen, which is fabulous. So if you don't want to see some of the information that you see now, you can get rid of it, or you can add things that are actually truly more relevant to you. So that's nice. Next, there's also another report called Manage Reports, and it is literally a report of your reports. But what's kind of nice about that is you can kind of see which ones are being used, which ones aren't being used. So it kind of gives you that ability to clean up that really messy user reports page and how it can get pretty messy, right? And then a side note that I just noticed when I was playing around with the new reports, the progress bars have drastically improved. So used to, your progress bars would just kind of do 50% and 100%, like they would just kind of jump all the way up there, and it was really weird. They are now much more percentage based. They look a lot better. They're also clickable, which is nice, and it kind of tells you how many things you have to complete. So let's just quit looking at all this stuff and go look at it. So this is Totara 10, and this is just a core straight out of the box. We just threw it up here. So it's nothing fancy that we're seeing. But let's look at our reports, report builder. So here's that screen cap that we were seeing. We now have a create report. So if I click that, it's just going to take me straight here. So I don't have to scroll past a whole bunch of stuff, none of that stuff. Here's all your report sources, and it does still have all of your embedded reports and then additional report sources that are available here. So that's nice. If I go to manage embedded reports, so that big, huge section is now its own section, which is nice. And this, again, would be kind of that report about your reports, but this is going to be just for the embedded reports. Okay, we see that this is now paged, so we have multiple pages. This is also, you'll see up here, edit this report. This is now editable. So if you want to display all of the embedded reports on one screen, absolutely. If you want to add some more filters so that you can actually filter through this screen, you can do that now, which is really nice. And manage our user reports. This is where we've created our own. So you'll see here that I've created 7. So when you use that create a new report screen, this is where it puts them. Okay, so it's really nice that I don't have to fuss with all of that other stuff. And then see here, we've got manage user reports. And then I have a manage reports, which is based off the reports report source. See how many times I can use the word reports today. And when I view that, this is just kind of all of them in one place. Now, one thing to be aware of here, we've got the report name, the source that's being used. Then we can see if it's an embedded report or not. So it lets you see, okay, yes, they're all embedded, or no, this is one that you created. You can move your actions columns around. You can see if it's hidden on the My Report. So like if you have another person that is in charge of creating reports, you can actually see if they have hidden it as a main site administrator. So you can see if it's hidden on someone else's reports, that maybe they are truly using it. If you're using any kind of global report restrictions, we've done an office hours on global report restrictions ages ago. It is on the playlist, but if those are being utilized, it would show here. And then also if you have a lot of scheduling of those reports. So right now mine's all zeros, right? Because I don't have any scheduled reports. But if you'll remember, anybody who has access to reports can schedule a report. So this basically would let you see how many people are actually truly scheduling reports and using that feature. So just something to be aware of, a nice little feature there. So taking a look back out home, let's go look at that browse list of users screen, which is one of my favorite new features. So users, accounts, browse list of users, no longer goes to that Moodle screen. It is now an embedded report. You can see if that person is active. You can move their email. You can hide show columns. You can add additional filters for yourself. That way you can actually see stuff. You can see if they're actually active users doing stuff on your site, which is nice. So you can see all of that as well. Looks like we're starting to get some questions about these. The first one is there any way to see which users have scheduled the reports? So that's back to the other report we were looking at. Not that I am aware of at this time, Kim, but that is definitely something that I can look up and see. And I will get back to all of you who are on the call, and then we'll post the answers on YouTube as well. Then we have another question from Simon. Does that include reports they run in real time? I'm not sure I'm fully understanding your question, Simon, so can you elaborate a bit more? It's okay, sometimes it takes a while to type. I'm thinking that you're meaning, like, does that include reports that when they go to the reports tab and click on it, does that scheduled reports number show? And if that's what you're talking about, no. That's just looking at scheduled reports. It's not looking at how often they click on those reports. Right, so Simon, I think I did understand. Okay, so Simon came back and said the scheduled reports column shows a count of the reports that have been scheduled. What if we want to see how many are running right now? Right, so not using that particular report source. So there's another feature that I wasn't going to get into today, but we'll talk about it a little bit, and we might just put that on the calendar for next time. there are now what are called event notifications in the system, which is kind of cool. So you can set it up and say, I want to be notified when X happens. And basically, it kind of helps you as an administrator monitor the traffic on your site and what people are doing. And that actually might be more so what you're looking for, Simon. So something to definitely look up, and then I'll put it on my list, and we can talk about that next time. Okay. All right. So this is just our browse listed users screen. Like I said, we can edit the report now, so we can do lots of things. We can do all the things that everybody has always asked me if they could do with this screen. So that's nice to see. Okay. Here's all of your different options. You'll see that you have all of course, the profile fields. And then if you add any additional profile fields, that is generally the big kicker that people want to see is, okay, I added 473 different profile fields about my people, but I can't see it on the browse list of user screen, and I can't filter by that. Now you can do that. So that's something that's available to you and something that you do have the ability to do. You can do it by position, organization, and then also different statistics and things like that. So let's jump back out to the home page. I want to show you that side note that the progress bars are way better. Assuming my home screen will load, and it did, and I had bars on my dashboard. Okay, so you'll see here it's actually at 33%, but then it's now clickable and gives you this nice little box that pops up and says all of the following criteria need to be met to complete this course. And then it says 6 activities need to be completed. So it's basically giving me all the criteria that I need to get that bar all the way across, which to me is a little more intuitive. I mean, they always kind of knew that's what they were supposed to do, but now it's clickable. They can actually do that. This same progress bar is available in reports. So like if you have a course completion report, which I think I have an example of that. Yeah. So you can make this course completion report available. You can make it kind of transcripty, basically where people can see the report about themselves. So you could do that, and then they can see when they click on it when it's complete, they see that they completed it on the 28th. When it is not complete, they see kind of where they are. But you'll see here now we have like 16%. That's something that we've never had before with these percentage bars. Okay. You know what, Kim? I haven't tried that. So Kim asked, does this progress bar work similarly for programs, or is it just for the course? I don't know. Let's go. I don't even know if I have a program on this course yet, on this site yet. Let me see. We will just play with it and see. Create a report. I also like that I no longer have to tell people that I will mail them Dramamine as I scroll incredibly fast down the report screen, which is nice. Because that screen was ridiculous. All right, so there's a program overview. Let's do a program completion. Now, one thing that I was noticing, guys, and it's worth going and looking, I'll show you where the documentation is. As I was going through and comparing against a version 9 and a version 10, I was looking at the documentation side by side. In the Totara help documentation, there is actually a place in there, and you kind of have to dig for it, but there is actually a place where it gives you every single report source and what you should see by default in that report source, which is nice. And when I was just kind of going through there and reading through them, they've kind of changed the names of a few of the reports, and I thought, oh, that one's new. Oh, that one's new. And then I was like, oh, no, they just renamed it. So it's worth a gander just so you can go through there. There was a couple of reports that I guess we just had never really used them a lot, but there was a few in there that I thought, oh, that's kind of cool, and might be worth playing around with a little bit more. So let's see here. That's all about the person. It may just be the status there. Let's just double check and see if we have anything else. Let's look at the report. I don't have any programs, so I was afraid of that. Let me get back to you on that, Kim, because I'm going to have to put a program in and all that stuff, and I don't want to waste everybody's time or yours going through all those steps, but I will follow up with you on that one as well. That's a really good question. I would imagine so. hopefully they carried that progress bar all the way through. So I would imagine that the answer is yes to that, but I will confirm for you. Okay. All right, guys. So that is really all I had to show you today, but let me show you actually real quick. Let me show you that documentation because it's worth looking at. So it's help.totaralms.com. And we have a question. Do they do reports on feedback modules within a course? So I wish that that was something that was new and great and happening. Unfortunately, no. However, one thing that I will tell you, we are working on a customization with another client that is similar to that. That is kind of working in that process. Now they do use external analytics. So they are pulling external analytics using a different system. I believe they use Tableau. But we are kind of working with them to see what we can do to get that overarching feedback report that everybody wants. Another question, are some of these report sources specific to the GDPR, which is the laws that are going into effect in Europe? That would be in version 11, and I have not looked at that specific piece just yet. So we do want to do an entire session on GDPR because I know it is a really big deal to a bunch of you. So we will be doing a session on that at some point as well. So I'm going to look at version 10 here. And we're going to go to Report Builder. And then over here, Report Sources underneath Related Pages. I think I've sent this to a few of you before, but just so that you're aware of it, there is one for every version. So this is version 10. There is one for version 11. There's one for version 9. So this page is available to all versions. Basically, it just shows you what the source is, what it really kind of should do, and then it also shows you what your default columns are. So this is just something to just be aware of and take a look at if you weren't aware of it already, just so you can kind of get a feel for what the heck does that report do before you go in and build it and screw around with it. So just something to keep in mind and something to be aware of. So that was really all I had for you guys today. Do you guys have any other questions? Great questions that you guys had for me today. All right. Thank you guys again. I appreciate you joining me. But yeah, we will keep checking back with us because we are looking at a new list of new topics. Also, guys, remember, if you have any suggestions or things that you want to see, go back to that email and click the little request and we'll put it on our list. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your week.